The RAF is engineered to strike first, see everything, and leave nothing to chance.
Welcome back again, guys. So it's actually no news that the RAF are the underdogs of the sky. They literally rule it.
Yeah.
You can't dispute that evidence.
It's there. Their record is there.
Prove me wrong. Like show me evidence where they are faltered in that area.
No evidence, actually.
So because of that, we're going to be diving into why the UK Air Force is untouchable in the skies. I think they should actually say why the RAF is untouchable in the sky.
Let's get right into this one, guys.
All right.
This is a typhoon.
What if the most dangerous air force in the world isn't the biggest, the loudest, or the one everyone keeps talking about, but the one that almost never gets mentioned at all? While analysts argue about American stealth, Chinese mass production, and Russian missile spam, they overlook the force that can clear the skies before an enemy pilot even understands what killed him.
Yeah.
The Royal Air Force doesn't advertise its strength because it doesn't have to.
Its
power comes from something far more lethal than numbers. The RAF is engineered to strike first, see everything, and leave nothing to chance. So technically, Britain built a system. An ecosystem of fused sensors, electronic warfare, stealth, and missiles that turns an air battle into a one-sided execution. If you're intercepted by an RAF Typhoon or F-35, you are not entering a fight. You're entering its kill zone. By the time your radar screams, you're already marked, already outrun, and already losing. So if this is the force everyone keeps overlooking, what else about the RAF do people still not understand?
The kill zone.
Air superiority doesn't start with the aircraft, it starts with who sees the fight first. And the brutal truth is this: no aircraft from any nation can approach British airspace without the RAF already watching, tracking, and predicting its every move. That advantage begins at RAF Bulmer, the nerve center of the UK's air defense network. Bulmer isn't a radar station, it's an information weapon. Every piece of airspace data from across the UK is sucked into this facility, processed in real time and fused into a picture so detailed that an intruding aircraft isn't just detected, it's understood. Scattered across the British coastline and highlands are the remote radar heads, quiet, isolated towers that act like...
Sorry, I just realized something, right? Normal aircraft radar and, this, the RAF radar, like what? How do they differentiate that? Oh, this is a commercial airline, and this is a fighter jet approaching their airspace. Because when they showed the screen of that guy, like I didn't understand anything that was on that screen.
You shouldn't.
Like it was just like I was just seeing symbol. Like, come on.
And so how did they differentiate? Let me say a terrorist aircraft. And a commercial aircraft. Or a private jet. All of those things. How do they differentiate?
How do they know? Or is it by the tail number? I don't understand.
Eyes fixed permanently on the horizon.
It was gibberish to me.
Sorry.
Horizon. Together they create a radar wall with no blind spots, no gaps, and no dead angles. An aircraft trying to slip through this network is like a burglar trying to sneak past floodlights. The moment it enters range, every sensor locks on. Every tracking system calibrates, and every computer begins building its interception timeline. And this doesn't stop at British borders. RAF surveillance is woven directly into NATO's sensor grid. The UK sees what Norway sees. It sees what Iceland sees. It sees what NATO AWACS sees hundreds of miles away. That fused picture gives the RAF something almost no air force on Earth possesses: predictive control of the battle space. The RAF doesn't wait to react. It already knows who's coming, where they're heading, how fast they're moving, and what altitude they'll cross before the intruder even realizes it has been detected. Most air forces scramble when they spot a threat. Britain calculates the interception before the threat fully enters range. That's why pilots from hostile states often talk about sudden RAF appearances during attempted probing flights. There is nothing sudden about it. The RAF sensors have tracked every second of their approach, and the intercept plan was finalized long before the intruder appeared on a cockpit display. By the time an aircraft shows up on RAF radar, the battle is already one step from finished. And that's where the next phase of dominance begins. Because once the RAF launches its fighters, the engagement shifts from surveillance superiority to something even more decisive: performance superiority.
Typhoon air-to-air
Information dominance gives the RAF the first move. But what happens next is even worse for any aircraft foolish enough to stay in the sky. Because once a Typhoon leaves the runway, the engagement doesn't continue. It collapses. The jet wasn't built to compete with other fighters. It was built to outperform them so brutally that the fight is mathematically decided before the merge. The key is energy. Air combat isn't about turning tighter or climbing faster in isolated moments. It's about who can burn energy and then snap back to full power before the opponent can respond.
Exactly. We just saw a Typhoon low level flight, and I was asking, okay, how? Because the guy was actually taking accelerations at different intervals, and it was very swift. So I was asking, okay, how does this engine pick up this acceleration without
so fast, without
slowing down? And guy, this video is actually explaining it.
Typhoon's EJ-200 engines aren't just powerful; they're violent. They shove the aircraft back into the fight with a rate of acceleration that most pilots never experience. This is why British pilots describe the Typhoon's performance with one phrase: "You lose me once, but you never lose me twice." Every time the jet brakes, dives, or rolls, it regains its energy almost instantly, setting up the next shot while the opponent is still recovering from the first move. That reality was exposed in Singapore. During evaluation trials, one RAF Typhoon went up against 3 F-16s, highly respected, battle-tested fighters. The result wasn't close. The Typhoon dismantled the formation. It didn't escape. It didn't evade. It dominated. Aircraft designed for agility were outclassed by a platform that regains speed faster than they can react. That test wasn't a fluke. It was a preview. Fast forward to recent Middle Eastern operations. Over an 18-month period, RAF Typhoons secured 4 confirmed air-to-air kills without taking a single hit.
Wow.
These weren't staged exercises. These were real engagements against real...
They can't even get a single hit. Because this bro literally fought in this Typhoon was used during the World War II, and we saw how they
performed.
Yes, like the war was very intense.
Like they were absolutely outnumbered.
Not to talk of come on, they will do better.
Adversaries. The Typhoons didn't come home damaged, stressed, or even challenged. They came home untouched. And then there's the constant question from European analysts: how does the Typhoon compare to the Rafale? The truth is straightforward. Both are agile, both can turn, both are 4th generation plus fighters. But the Typhoon's raw thrust gives it something the Rafale can't match: the ability to bleed speed, execute a move, and then explode back into combat position before the Rafale can stabilize. The French jet is smooth, the British jet is relentless, but the RAF doesn't send the Typhoon into the sky alone. It pairs a heavyweight brawler with a ghost. The F-35 doesn't announce its presence. It arrives inside the enemy's blind spot. Where the Typhoon overwhelms the senses, the F-35 starves them. When those two platforms operate together, one compresses the fight while the other removes any possibility of escape. It's a trap with wings. The RAF doesn't fly fighters, it flies inevitability, and once the aircraft establish control, the next layer of dominance comes from the weapon that makes escape physically impossible, the missile that finishes what the Typhoon starts.
Wow.
Air combat used to be decided by who had the better jet. Today, it's decided by who fires the Meteor first. Because once this missile leaves the rail, the argument about who wins the fight is over.
Really?
Meteor isn't an upgrade. It's a weapon that rewrote the laws of engagement, and the RAF is the air force that wields it best. Most air-to-air missiles behave like sprinting athletes: explosive launch, fast climb, rapid burn, then a gradual coast toward the target. Meteor doesn't sprint. Meteor hunts. Its ramjet propulsion doesn't just push it forward. It sustains power for the entire flight, allowing the missile to accelerate in the very moment traditional missiles begin to die. That single feature changes everything. Its range, 125 plus miles, is already brutal. But range isn't the real terror. Meteor's no escape zone is. This is the space where once the missile locks, physics takes over, and the target cannot outrun, outclimb, or outturn the incoming kill. Meteor's no escape zone is several times larger than anything the United States fields today. Not the AMRAAM, not the AIM-260. Nothing in the American arsenal can match its sustained energy or terminal performance. For Russian and Chinese pilots, this is a nightmare with wings. Wow. Their entire air combat doctrine revolves around one idea: avoid the enemy's optimal shot, then disengage and reposition. Meteor removes that option. It doesn't lose speed at long distance. It doesn't give the target breathing room. Every second the enemy spends trying to run only gives Meteor more time to build energy and collapse the distance. You cannot outrun a missile whose engine is still burning. You cannot outmaneuver a missile that can adjust its profile at high speed. You cannot hide from a seeker that tracks you through evasive maneuvers. Meteor doesn't chase, it corners. And when the Typhoon or F-35 fires a weapon the enemy cannot escape, the engagements become absurdly one-sided. British pilots fire from ranges where the opponent cannot respond, cannot detect the launch early enough, and cannot execute a defensive break in time to matter. That's why RAF kills look effortless. They are.
Sorry, I have a question, right? Whenever they shoot all these missiles, they have fire propelling them, right? From their back, pushing them to their target.
It breaks open.
Okay. My question is, does these missiles, right, do they put like, would I call it fuel? I don't know what they normally use for it, inside it to,
to keep it afloat.
To keep it afloat, to get to its target.
He said it, and he said the faster it even goes, the deadlier it is. I'm thinking about the engineering there.
Like, how does it work?
Because there's no wings. It's just
moving straight
on the air. So that's a good question.
Most air forces use radar to see. The RAF uses radar to attack. The ECRS Mark II isn't just a sensor. It's a weaponized electromagnetic system designed to break the enemy's eyes, shut down their defenses, and leave hostile pilots flying blind in their own airspace. This is the part most people never understand. RAF fighters don't survive threats, they dismantle them. ECRS Mark II gives RAF Typhoons a level of electronic aggression that rewrites the rules of aerial combat. While older radars simply detect targets, Mark II scans the battlespace, isolates hostile emitters, identifies the exact type of radar being used, and then begins tearing it apart electronically. It doesn't wait for a threat to lock on. It goes after the threat first. This is what suppression of enemy air defenses looks like in the modern age. Not by missiles alone, but by blinding the system that guides them. A Typhoon equipped with Mark II can locate a surface-to-air battery from long range, jam its tracking signals, flood its receivers with phantom targets, or corrupt its guidance picture so completely that the enemy radar operators never get a stable lock. They aren't fighting the aircraft, they're fighting a ghost in the machine. And Mark II is only one limb of the RAF's electronic warfare body. The Praetorian Defensive Aid subsystem works in parallel, detecting missile launches, identifying laser threats, and deploying countermeasures automatically, faster than a human pilot could ever react. It's not a defensive suite, it's an active shield that manipulates the electromagnetic environment around the aircraft. Together, Mark II and Praetorian turn the Typhoon into something rare in modern warfare. A jet that attacks you and your electronics at the same time. This is why RAF pilots don't dodge threats. They don't hide from radar. They don't pray the missile misses. They jam the radar before it can lock. They blind the targeting system before it can track. They break the kill chain at the source. While most air forces scramble to avoid engagement envelopes, the RAF steps inside them, shuts them down, and leaves enemy operators staring at dead screens. Once an air force can see everything you do and shut down everything you rely on, the battle space becomes one-sided long before the first missile flies. And this dominance isn't occasional or situational. It's permanent, because Britain maintains a level of readiness that keeps these fighters armed, fueled, and airborne in minutes. Air superiority means nothing if you can't bring your fighters into the sky fast enough to use it.
A lot of questions, but when I see something, it sparks curiosity in me. I think when they were showing where this ECRS were made, that's the jamming, the radars, jamming stuff, right? So when they were showing it, I saw that the people that were the ones building it does not look like military personnel. They look like all these private contractors. So my question is, right, most of this equipment is not like, is it out there in the world like that any country can just go and purchase?
Yeah, like for instance, contract their contractor to come and do the same for them.
Come and do the same for them. That's what I'm asking. Or those contractors sign
that you don't do whatever you do for me.
Yes, out there.
You don't replicate your work for
that. That's what I want to understand, because if they don't sign those things, it's crazy, because they can literally sell that idea.
Yeah.
Anyway, and come to think of it, sometimes ask yourself, how does most of these terrorists get hands on weapons.
I think they contractors.
The
to do
contractors. Do you understand? Wow. I'm sorry that we are deviating.
And most times, it's being backed by some nations.
Yeah,
So
that's there.
That's where the RAF pulls ahead of almost every air force on Earth. Britain doesn't wait for a threat to develop. It launches its interceptors so quickly that hostile aircraft barely complete their approach vectors before a typhoon is already climbing to meet them. The Quick Reaction Alert Force at RAF Lossiemouth and RAF Coningsby sits on a hair trigger 24 hours a day.
Wow.
These aren't jets sitting quietly in hangars. They are fueled, armed, manned, and ready to move the moment Bolmer gives the word. The RAF doesn't measure scramble time in minutes. It measures it in seconds.
Wow.
From the instant the alarm sounds, Typhoon fighters go from parked to airborne in under 150 seconds. Most air forces can't even get pilots strapped into their seats in that time. And once the wheels leave the runway, the acceleration is violent. The Typhoon is at Mach 1.5 in minutes, punching through the atmosphere and climbing past 30,000 feet faster than ground crews can clear the runway of exhaust heat. Within moments, it's climbing beyond 55,000 feet, a position that gives the RAF complete control over the engagement.
I'm so sorry again. So sorry I'm pausing again. Does this jets have the capability of, going outer space? Because I'm here, anytime we check out all these jets, you hear them breaking the sound barriers and everything. So if they are that fast, do they?
They are not rockets now. They are not rockets. But
I won't doubt all these things if they can. We watch movies and you see some things like that, they might be hiding all these things from us.
Altitude dominance, speed dominance, and the ability to drop into or out of a fight at will. The speed of response creates a coverage radius that almost defies geography. From Coningsby, a Typhoon can intercept threats approaching the North Sea, the Channel, or even the central UK in a fraction of the time most nations require to activate their command chains. From Lossiemouth, the RAF can project a defensive wall deep into the Norwegian Sea and across the northern Arctic approaches. Any aircraft trying to probe British airspace discovers the same truth. The RAF doesn't wait for you, it meets you. And the pilots handling these interceptions aren't ordinary. They're trained to react instantly, execute flawlessly, and outthink opponents who, by the time they reach the interception point, are already behind the curve. Technology gives the RAF the tools. The pilots give it the edge. And this is where most countries lose the fight before it even starts. The RAF produces aircrew who train harder, integrate deeper, and operate at a mental tempo that foreign pilots simply cannot match. The backbone of this superiority is NATO's Tactical Leadership Program, the crucible where the best pilots in Europe are shaped into combat leaders. This isn't routine flight training. It's a battlefield simulation environment where RAF pilots fight against the sharpest tactics, the hardest scenarios, and the most ruthless instructors NATO can throw at them. Every sortie is a pressure test. Every mistake is exploited. Every weakness is eliminated. That's why the RAF doesn't just produce good pilots. It produces tacticians, people who can manage information, command a battle space, and coordinate multiple aircraft types inside a fight that changes by the second. They don't fly the Typhoon, they operate it. And the world has taken notice. The Indian Air Force, ranked among the top 3 globally in air power, has begun sending its own qualified instructors to the UK to train RAF pilots. Normally, nations send their pilots abroad to learn. India is sending instructors because the exchange improves both forces. That kind of partnership only happens when another major air power recognizes the RAF as a benchmark worth matching.
Wow.
The training complexity goes even further. RAF pilots now operate in advanced synthetic combat environments where they rehearse missions with F-35s, Typhoons, drones, and electronic warfare platforms in the same digital battle space. They fight against virtual SAM sites, contested electronic zones, and adaptive enemy tactics, the kind of scenarios impossible to replicate in live flight. These simulations sharpen instincts and decision-making at a level most air forces will not reach for another decade. And then there's the 4th and 5th generation integration, the crown jewel of RAF training. Very few nations teach pilots how to fuse the raw power of a Typhoon with the invisibility and information dominance of an F-35. RAF pilots train to fly them as a single organism. The Typhoon controls the sky while the F-35 manipulates it. One overwhelms, the other deceives. Together, they trap the enemy inside a battle space the RAF pilots are already mentally controlling. Elite pilots, operating elite systems, thinking faster than their opponents can react. That's what makes RAF aircrew so lethal. But even their skill is only one part of the picture. Once you plug these pilots into a network that stretches across Europe and the North Atlantic, their power multiplies. An air force becomes deadly the moment it stops fighting alone. The RAF reached that point years ago. Britain isn't just operating within NATO, it is wired into NATO. Every radar picture, every sensor sweep, every AWACS track, every coastal system from Norway to Turkey feeds into a single combined battle space that RAF pilots use as their second sight. That's the real power most analysts...
I'm so sorry I've fought like 1,000 times.
You're learning.
Which means NATO have all this radar, spy, whatever.
We're talking about NATO.
Wow, I
The
thought
US is in NATO. France in NATO. There are a lot of giants that are in NATO.
Yeah.
I think the only country that are not in NATO is Russia and China and some other.
What I'm saying, like this thing right now, like they have those planes that have the radar and they are circling round. I don't know how to put this word without offending a lot of people. Now, what I mean is this, right? I get the fact that it's a signed agreement, we are all in this together.
Yep.
But I know some countries don't want oversight of what is happening in their...
No, currently there's a brimming war. So you don't have a choice.
Okay.
The war is already brimming, so you saying you don't want
the NATO oversight.
Yeah, oversight. You are opening yourself to
a lot
attack and a lot.
That's dead though. That's dead.
And you don't have a choice because you are in that region. So from the region, probably they might use from there and come inside.
Just that I know that sometimes I usually when we see all these things, I feel like I thought that NATO is just there. Yes, they are watching, but they get their information by communication. I didn't know that they were actually up there.
No, they are there. They're especially in this period.
Wow.
But if they are not there before, they are there now. Because it feels like we are one step into World War III.
One.
The word, like, very before to think of it.
Like, the funniest thing is, like, I think from past 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Till now, there's been this heat.
Chaos.
This heat that keeps getting hotter and hotter, and I feel like we'll get to a boiling point very soon.
Because actually, what started World War One? The same kind of reason.
Yes.
World War Two.
The same thing. It
World
didn't
War
just
Three
start
now,
once.
the same kind of, and it always starts like, especially with territories.
Yeah.
World War One was the Austria-Bulgaria, where
and
they
it
wanted
always
to
starts
get
with
to.
smaller countries.
It's crazy.
It always starts with smaller
It's
countries.
crazy. It's good
before
that
the other nations join in. And then.
And it's so funny because let's not dive into it.
Sorry.
Continue.
Well, we deviated.
Yeah,
Overlook. When you challenge the RAF, you aren't fighting Britain. You're fighting the intelligence of an entire military alliance. NATO's Integrated Air and Missile Defense System, IAMD, and its Air Command and Control System, ACCS, link the RAF into a continent-sized detection grid. Wow. A Russian aircraft lifting off from Kaliningrad, the RAF sees it. A Chinese jet testing Europe's air boundaries, the RAF has the data. A rogue aircraft operating in Europe's air boundaries, the RAF...
You don't know what is on this screen, like, bro, what are you guys reading? I just see dot box, like triangle A. What is A? What is this? What is these symbols? Now I'm feeling so dumb.
RAF has the data. A rogue aircraft operating in the Black Sea or Baltic? That information flows directly into British systems in near real time. This isn't cooperation. This is fusion. That combined sensor picture is the kind of advantage that most nations cannot even conceptualize. While adversary pilots rely on their own radars and local networks, RAF pilots enter the sky with a map of the entire theater already built in. They know which aircraft are hostile, which ones are decoys, which radars are active, and which SAM systems are warming up. Situational awareness becomes total, not because of the UK alone, but because of an alliance that fights as one machine. This means any aircraft challenging British fighters is immediately exposed across a network stretching thousands of miles. Norwegian radars track its altitude. Dutch systems track its speed. AWACS aircraft map its electronic signature. And by the time it approaches British airspace, the RAF doesn't simply have a target. It has a profile, a pattern, and a predicted outcome. This is why attempting to surprise the RAF is a fantasy. You can evade a nation. You can't evade a continent. And that's the final layer of present-day air superiority. Britain fights with more information, faster information, and wider information than any adversary it might face. But the RAF isn't just relying on current strength. While this network gives the UK overwhelming dominance today, Britain is preparing something even more dangerous. A future force built from stealth, data fusion, and next-generation strike capability. That's where the story pivots next, toward the aircraft that will redefine what the RAF can do in the air. Air superiority today is already in Britain's favor, but the RAF is quietly building an advantage that pushes its dominance into the next decade. The expansion of the UK's F-35 fleet isn't a procurement update, it's a strategic message. The RAF isn't maintaining its lead, it's widening it. The latest order, 29 additional F-35s with 17 Bs and 12 As, pushes Britain toward a fleet of 75 fifth-generation jets. This isn't a symbolic number. It represents massed stealth capability, distributed strike power, and a force that can operate across land, sea, and forward-deployed NATO missions. And hidden within that order is a capability very few nations possess. Britain's F-35A variant will be nuclear capable, giving the RAF a stealth delivery system that merges strategic deterrence with tactical penetration. This shifts Britain from a reactor of threats to a generator of consequences. If the Typhoon dominates the open sky, the F-35 dominates the denied sky. The environment's filled with radar nets, long-range SAMs, and electronic warfare systems designed to keep enemy aircraft out. The F-35's advantage isn't speed or thrust, it's invisibility. It enters contested airspace without lighting up the map, strikes without warning, and leaves before hostile sensors even register the attack. But the RAF isn't just buying F-35s, it's designing a doctrine where the Typhoon and the F-35 operate as a single predator. The Typhoon crushes the fight in the air, while the F-35 slips past enemy radar to strike command centers, missile sites, or high-value targets deep behind the front. One overwhelms the surface picture, the other slips beneath it. Together they form a kill chain that no rival force can match. Brute force paired with silent penetration. And here's what elevates Britain above the rest. Most nations that operate the F-35 use it as a standalone fighter. The RAF uses it as a battlefield architect. Its sensors feed entire formations, its data links command multi-platform strikes, its stealth opens the door for Typhoons to exploit. Britain doesn't fly the F-35 as a jet. It flies it as a network node, one that reshapes how the entire Air Force fights. With more F-35s entering service, this integration becomes deeper, faster, and more lethal. The RAF's dominance won't fade, it will intensify. And when you combine everything, the detection network, the Typhoon's performance, the Meteor missile, the electronic warfare suite, the pilot expertise, and the NATO sensor grid, one reality becomes unavoidable. Untouchable isn't a claim. It's the logical conclusion. But to close this out properly, all these layers must converge into a final understanding. The RAF's supremacy isn't built on one platform, one weapon, or one system. It's built on a structure designed to win the air before anyone else has a chance to contest it. The RAF's power isn't an accident, and it isn't luck. It's the result of a system built to see first, launch first, jam first, strike first, and finish the fight before the enemy understands what's happening. From the Typhoon's dominance to the Meteor's no-escape reality, from Europe's strongest radar network to fifth-generation stealth integration, Britain built an air force designed not to compete, but to stay untouchable. And when all these layers fuse into one machine, the question stops being whether the RAF can dominate the sky. The real question becomes, who would dare challenge it?
Definitely.
If you found this analysis valuable, please consider subscribing to our channel for more deep dives into geopolitics. We would love to hear your thoughts. Drop your comments below and let us know what you think.
This was quite educational. And
Quite or very educational.
as I told the people before, I expected it. I think the only part that actually surprised me was the integration of NATO network system and everything like that. But the fact that the RAF remains superior in every aspect in the air dominance is not a shock to me. It's just affirmation. They just gave me words of affirmation. The RAF,
They
you
are really
guys.
good.
I think they have worked for their due.
Yeah.
They built that reputation. It was not built on one thing. It was built in blood, on blood, and sacrifice, and dedication, and loyalty. So definitely,
You should be there.
it should be there.
Please let me know what you think about this video down in the comment section. Do not hesitate to like, subscribe. Love you guys so much.